We're scientists.
Joins us now, Judy.
These are the quarterbacks for the Jets.
Your reaction to the trade?
Engineers.
Carolina and New York.
We're pragmatists and producers.
Well, it could not
It's who
have
we
been less
are.
surprising.
So we have a plan to help address climate change. We're decreasing our methane emissions and developing low-carbon technologies. With that and more, we expect to reduce our absolute upstream greenhouse gas emissions by an estimated 30% by 2025. It's a plan we're committed to. In fact, we've already begun.
Certainly the fact that Sam Darnold is
With
out.
breaking news, NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reporting a trade between the Carolina Panthers and the New York Jets involving a quarterback. Ian, what can you tell us?
That's right. Sam Darnold, the Jets starting quarterback for the last several years, is now headed to the Carolina Panthers. The two teams
Shopping with Google helps you find whatever you're looking for. Like sunscreen, for keeping your family safe. You can find the best value, read reviews, even see what's available nearby. Your best shopping starts with Google.
There's Marlowe right there coming in.
Darnold flicks it up in the air and it's caught. It's going to be short of a first down. Good improvisation there by...
Hopefully that helped. How about now? Talk, Nicholas.
Oh, my God. Did you put that on?
I did.
Oh!
Are we going to get in trouble?
I don't know.
Well, you're talking about Sam Darnold, and so I was figuring we'd get some Sam Darnold highlights.
Yeah, there's no sound. Can't hear you guys. Let us know if there's sound.
Well, if you're not going to talk, there's not going to be any sound.
I see a Jets game. Yeah, no, that's what you're supposed to see right now. We're talking about Sam Darnold, but you can't hear me.
Right. Can anybody hear us now?
You can't hear me.
I think you should be able to hear us now because we had sound. I see the bar moving on our screen.
Okay, we got sound. So anyway, the Jets traded Sam Darnold to recap, for a 6th round pick this year and a 2nd and 4th round pick in 2022. And I feel bad for Darnold because teams don't have that, and neither do fans. They don't have that kind of, they don't want to wait. They have zero patience, right? They expect everybody to come out and be Patrick Mahomes, right? Like everybody can't come out and be Patrick Mahomes or whoever, the guy out in San Diego or some of the other guys that in the past have come up and played great in week 1 or the first season. I mean, it's not realistic to think that's going to happen all the time. And to try to keep catching lightning in a bottle like that just keeps setting you back more, right? Years and years and years and years. So now the Jets had a quarterback they paid a lot of money to that they drafted in the 1st round, and they've given him nothing, right? They've given him 2 coaches. They've given him multiple systems, and he's unable to succeed. By the way, you didn't give him a good team either. You gave him a terrible head coach, so he made some progress towards the end of his rookie year under Bowles, and then he started to regress under Gase. But you admitted that Gase was just the absolute wrong choice. Everybody knew it was the wrong choice. So he regressed, admittedly, because of your own errors. You've given him nothing. And by the way, if you go like this with a new quarterback and give him nothing, it's going to be the same thing. Look, now this guy's going to come in. He's going to have 3 systems and 4 coaches in 3 years, and that's it. So you have the Knicks fighting for a playoff spot. You have the Nets that are probably going to go to the conference finals. You have the Yankees who started that are going to probably make the playoffs, probably, good pick to win the East. You have the Mets who are picked to, they're in the power rankings and are picked to win the East. You have the Giants that are making moves and progressing, moving into next year. You have the Rangers going on a playoff run. You have the Islanders on a playoff run, and you have the Jets with no quarterback. I hate the Jets, but I mean, at some point, get your shit together.
What is Carolina doing picking up Darnold? They're going to obviously take him in to start, or else why make all those? Well, now give all those picks away.
Well, they have Teddy Bridgewater, and maybe they want to move on from him. I mean, Matt, you want to call in and argue about Daniel Jones? We can go toe to toe. But Sam Darnold, I hope he does well.
I don't think he had done anything wrong. I mean, I watched his games. The guy can play ball. As you said, he didn't have a good team around him.
He's got the arm.
Absolutely. He's got the size. He's the quintessential quarterback, right? He has everything you'd want in a quarterback except a good offensive line, good wide receivers. He wasn't throwing to anyone I even can name. It's too bad. And now what are they going to do? They're going to again try.
They're going to
to
draft
start from the beginning.
Yes, exactly. So now they're another 5 years behind. Now they're another pushed back 3 to 5 years because they're going to bring in the BYU quarterback. They're going to draft Zach. Is it Zach? I think I wrote it down here somewhere. Yeah, Zach Wilson. So they'll bring in Zach Wilson, and then what? Now you have another rookie quarterback. The only benefit is he doesn't have to worry about being in his second system in 2 years because it's his first year. I mean, the Jets. I mean, it just. It's just a joke.
Yeah, it's enough talking about them. They don't deserve it.
They don't deserve. They do not deserve. And the fans and they wonder why they don't have success.
Let's move on. It's not even worth it. It's
absolutely not. There's too much to talk about. I'm going to sit here raging about Sam Darnold and a team that's a complete failure for
we have to
3-4 decades.
And I don't mean to go from professional sports to college sports, but you do still have the March Madness brackets going on. And I thought UCLA at number of 11 going to the Final Four is an incredible journey for them to have been able to get that far and be that close in the Final Four to beat Gonzaga. What were your thoughts?
That game was one of the greatest college basketball games I've ever seen. Simply because from the start of that game all the way to the end, the first half was incredible. And usually when you have a first half like that in some of these games, the second half just becomes a blowout, right? Where the better seed usually just comes out and will destroy the team. That game was incredible from the first half into the second half to the end into overtime. I mean, there were points in that game where I thought UCLA was completely done, down by 5, come back, right? I mean, it was just and what I'm about to say here does not diminish anything that either of these teams did, because UCLA went on a great run. First of all, being a play-in team, one of the first 4 in, right? So they had to play an extra game. So it was incredible, just all the way around. The only other game that I can remember that was ever that good were finals games, right? A couple years ago when Villanova beat North Carolina, when North Carolina hit a crazy 3-pointer with like 4 seconds left, just to have Villanova come run down the court and just hit a buzzer beater to win the national championship. Hold on, pause it. And then even going further back, Butler not hitting the buzzer beater that went off the rim, but I mean those are finals games. I mean, the only reason that this game isn't the greatest of all time probably is simply because it wasn't a final. It was a Final Four. But the fact that it was a Final Four game and having that kind of Final Four game is incredible. I know you didn't watch it, so I'm not going to ask you. I know you didn't even watch the shit, so I'm not even going to ask you.
I saw the highlights. That's all I need to see. People could see it right here.
Now, I caught some shit for saying this, and I kind of wanted to break this down a little bit. Not crazy, but there was 2 complete breakdowns at the end of this game on defense for both teams. The one is obvious. The other one, it is a little nitpicky, but you want
to break down this play?
Yeah. So right here, there's a missed layup, and Gonzaga just failed to box out. Pause. Now that ties the game. Right? That ties the game. No box out, a wide open layup to tie the game. I don't know. There was three Gonzaga people around there. All right. Now, you have 3.3 seconds left. UCLA runs back on defense. Okay. I understand they want to try to get back and fill lanes, but now go back for a second. Go all the way. Can you rewind it back? Okay, so they want to fill lanes and get back, but there's only 3.3 seconds left. And what I saw here is a complete breakdown in defense. Nobody covers anybody, right? So I understand not everybody can go to the ball because, again, you don't want the long pass and an easy layup. But once that guy starts taking off, there's only one guy ahead of him, really, that's any sort of a threat. And there's no way once he's running, this guy, now go. He runs all the way 3/4 court without anybody even getting in his face. Watch. He runs all the way. Nobody touches him. He gets here. And he throws up a shot, a runner, and the defender is to the side of him. So the shot isn't even contested. Go back like a second. So this guy's in front of him. Then he puts his arms up and just moves out of his way. If he just stands there, the game is over. At least a contested shot and it's a charge. There's no way they're calling a foul on this. He moves out of his way because if he doesn't move out of his way, there's no way he can finish that shot. The more he ran down the court, he just kept, every step was just increasing his odds of making that shot. Now, is it a tough shot? Hell yeah, I'm not taking anything away from the guy for making the shot. You have to stop the ball. You have to stop the ball at some point. You can't just let him run in and run 3/4 of the way down the court. And then let him get a wide open runner, really not that far between half court and the 3-point line. Yes, crazy shot. Absolutely ridiculous. Great game. I don't want to seem like I'm taking anything away from UCLA because it was a phenomenal game. They battled hard. You have to stop the ball at some point. Somebody has to stop the ball.
I guess they didn't want to give him a foul while he was taking a 3-point shot. So he stepped.
Because if he makes one, the game's over.
Right.
He makes one foul shot.
And he's like, I'll let
but
you have it.
But he never really contested it.
He's thinking, I'm going to give this to you. You're not making it from China. He's China.
No, China would have been if they stopped the ball. They stopped the inbound.
He took that shot from almost half court. Okay? So it's just so far. It's so far. How far he makes this shot.
I'll go outside in your driveway right now. I'll make 3 out of 10 of them.
Oh, yeah. We've seen what he could do with the football. So.
You don't know my skills. I mean, wait, what were you just playing?
I was playing the half-court shot.
So you could see the defender steps to the side. That shot is never contested. People keep telling me that shot is contested.
No.
That's not a contested shot.
He steps to the side.
I got to get used to this playing it on the screen type of thing. You know?
There he is. No defense. All excited. Very cool.
Mike, I'll make 3 out of 10 of those. Maybe not. All right. I mean, I'm gassing it a little bit. Look, that shot is not contested at all. Please stop. It was a wide open shot. Here you go.
Watching it on Facebook.
I'm sorry.
We're already past that.
It's like a delay?
Yeah, there's like 5 to 10 seconds. So, it's over.
I'll tell Mike Sass. I'll give Mike Sass this. Back in my younger days, and Mike was still old, but we would play basketball sometimes at like Miller, and he has the old school never miss a jump. Like, like when you were younger, you'd play against the older men, like guys that were in their 50s that you are now. But when I was younger, like in my late teens, maybe early 20s, and you had the old school guys that just never missed a jump shot. Didn't matter if you had a hand in his face, if you were, you could hit. There was a time I actually remember hitting the ball, like getting a piece of one of his shots and it still went in. Incredible. It's like you get the old man strength. Right? Some of these old schoolers just didn't miss. They don't miss a shot. This microphone's loud and creaky.
Stop moving it.
I know. I don't know. Now you have tonight is the big game. Who do you think's going to win, Baylor or Gonzaga?
Gonzaga.
Gonzaga? You think it's their year finally to live up to the hype, live up to the expectations?
Yep.
Because they're not a mid-major anymore as far as most people are concerned. I mean, they've been ranked for a while now. I think it's going to be a great game. You have 2 big, strong teams going to battle it out. No easy shots in this game. I think you're going to have a low-scoring game. I'm taking Baylor. Taking Baylor. National championship. The Final Four. Listen, the college basketball has been great this year. You watch any of it? Nope.
No.
Didn't think so. Let us know who you got in the comments. I'm taking Baylor. I'm taking Baylor in an upset. Because I think everybody thinks Gonzaga is going to win. I think people think they're the better team, even though they're 2 1-seeds. 2 1-seeds play against each other is
More, how about
it an upset?
maybe-
If a one beats a one, is it an upset?
I'd like to know why these people are picking Baylor. Nadine comments she's picked Baylor. Raposa picks Gonzaga. What's the phone number, Nicholas?
I don't think anybody really knows.
I'd like to hear some comments.
The phone number to call in is 845-366-2095.
Yeah, give us a call. We haven't heard from people in a while.
Yeah.
It'd be
Well,
nice to hear
I
from
would like to hear some people call in when we get into the whole Major League Baseball pulling the All-Star game out of Atlanta with the new voting bill.
Wait
I
a
think
minute.
that's going to be very interesting.
Wait a minute, Nicholas. The MLB pulled out of Georgia? What for? That's a great thing to talk about. You know, you can start with
Yeah, Michigan losing was a killer. Michigan, UCLA beating Michigan, I think, busted a lot of people's brackets. If they already wasn't busted already with Ohio State and VCU losing, well, VCU not even playing, but
Are you ready to talk about the MLB pulling out of Georgia?
yeah. So
wait. Let me just explain.
okay,
your
you
stand.
explain, Kenny. You talk.
I don't want to explain
I'm
it.
getting dry throat.
I just want to have a preface, foundational comment that I know that where you stand. Our former president Barack Obama said, "Congratulations to MLB for taking a stand on behalf of voting rights for all citizens. There's no better way for America's pastime to honor the great Hank Aaron, who always led by example." Nick, what happened? What happened that MLB thought that there was a voting law in Georgia that was so restrictive that it transcended not only baseball but society, driving them out, or rather driving the All-Star game out of Georgia? What happened?
So, Georgia governor passed a new voting bill. And when it got passed, there was a lot of immediate reaction to it just being completely racist. Completely racist and Jim Crow. Heard that a lot. Jim Crow, this bill's racist, Jim Crow, racist, Jim Crow.
The bill,
Biden,
the bill prohibited volunteers from distributing food and water for voters waiting in line. That's what we were reading.
Yeah. So let's take that in pieces, right? So a lot of talk about it. Biden goes on TV and is completely misleading. A lot of the stuff in the bill that a lot of people on social media are just yelling about, I don't think anybody actually read the bill, which I don't expect people to go through and read the whole bill, right? But I don't even think they read the parts that they're screaming at, because I haven't had one person actually be able to tell me how it's racist and Jim Crow. So let's go back to what Jim Crow is, right? Jim Crow is segregation, right? Jim Crow is, black and white water fountains, black and white bathrooms. And I had this article up. Blacks and whites were not supposed to eat together. A black male cannot offer his hand with a white male because it implied being socially equal. Blacks were not allowed to show public affection towards one another in public, especially kissing, because it offended whites. Some really bad shit. Like, that's some real racism right there. Like, that's really bad. The voting bill is not close to that. It's not even racist. Like, I would like somebody to call and explain to me how the bill's racist at 845-366-2095. Because if there's anything in the bill that's actually racist, then I would agree with you 100% that the whole thing is crazy and MLB should pull out and Coke should move and everybody else should move, right? But I've looked at it and I don't see the overreaction, especially since a lot of states have similar laws. States that you live in already have similar laws. So what were you saying? What were some of the things that you wanted to?
What's the defense of it? Can you give the other side?
Well, what were some of the things that you were saying, though? You said that, what were some of the things in the bill?
Some of the defenses of the bill were in response to the claim that they're closing at 5 p.m., which is restrictive to those people who want to vote after 5 p.m.
Yes, that was Joe Biden.
There was
Well, hold on. Stop right there. Stop right there. So Joe Biden said, it's hurting the working class because this new rule closes polls at 5 o'clock. So the working class people in Georgia, which, by the way, I've been to Atlanta a bunch of times, right? I love Atlanta. I love hanging out in Atlanta. I've done it. I've been there. It's great. It's wrong. It's so people are raging about that, and they're saying, they close polls at 5, so the working class, which is predominantly down there, is a very large minority contingent of people. It's wrong. It's completely wrong. The old bill didn't really define the voting hours. The old bill said,
by close of business day.
Yeah, business day. So there was no definition, right? There was no definition of the actual hours. So the close of business day to most people is what, Kenny?
5.
5, right?
Generally.
9 to 5?
Right.
So
it's not at the end of my business day, but traditionally we work a 9 to 5 day in this country.
So they actually defined that with a time. And they opened up weekend hours, and polls on a lot of those days are actually going to be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But they gave a mandatory time that they have to be open, which, by the way, was basically the same exact time that was already out there in the law as business hours. They just actually defined it.
At least that's what we're reading as the rebuttal. And then there's the issue of...
And by the way, I just so everybody knows, I read that on CNN. So when you're outraged and you're yelling about all this stuff and you're regurgitating your CNN headline, a lot of this shit I read on CNN, and I went back to the bill and I cross-referenced and checked because I'm up till 2 o'clock every morning because I don't sleep. Partly because my sciatic nerve is going down my ass through my leg down to my foot.
Doesn't everybody's?
But mine hurts.
Oh, okay. And then with respect to the providing food or water, it's not that you can't provide food or water. They leave that to the election officials that are working to provide refreshments to those online.
Yes. So this was another discussion on somebody else's page where they kept yelling about the bill's racist and that you can't bring food and water to anybody in line. It's criminal. And then he goes in this post to say, well, you people are, I don't know what shit you guys are reading. So I simply said, well, I'd like to know what you were reading, because if you actually read the bill, it says people cannot bring food or beverage or gifts to somebody within 150 feet of a polling place.
Yeah, they just don't want any contact between
that is
potential campaigners and people waiting online. And so they have a bright line rule. Whether it's your mother, father, sister, brother, or friend, they just don't want anybody coming up to you, giving you any type of refreshment, because it just has this sense of impropriety if you're communicating with others while you're online. I get it.
Exactly. It's for campaigning, but one of the bigger issues that happens at these places is voter intimidation. And nobody talks about that. There's a lot of voter intimidation that goes on. And it's funny how this was talked about 4 years ago with voter intimidation, how people said up and down that the Republicans were doing voter intimidation at polling places. So, and then it happened 4 years before that, and Republicans said Democrats were doing. But so these laws are in place for a reason, and most states have these laws. Some states are more restrictive, or some states are more restrictive than others. Just so you know, I think New York is 100 feet. New York has the same laws. You should all move. It's not. Now, also, the people who work the polls can set up water stations and stuff like that. You just can't get it from outside people, and there's reasons for it. There's reasons why states have those laws. It's not racist. It's not Jim Crow.
Well, then why did they reduce the number of ballot drop boxes? What would be the point for that? That's another bone of contention. You had a certain amount of absentee ballot drop boxes.
38. Oh, hold on a sec. Now, 38 ballot drop boxes were out last year. And the only reason there were that many, and a lot of other states did the same thing, is because of the pandemic. So it was an emergency order to increase the amount of drop boxes because of the pandemic. The law now goes back to the 8 drop boxes per county. Like Fulton County is going to have 8 drop box locations instead of 38. And it's because there won't be a pandemic, right? So that kind of helps limit voter fraud. But it just goes back to what it was pre-pandemic. It was only done one time. So it's not like they've had 38 voting boxes and now they're going down to 8. It was only 8 one time because of the pandemic. Again, we run around yelling racism. What the problem with all this is that you're really hurting people that suffer real racism. Because these politicians have made everything about race. And Charles Barkley said it best. He said it best. He said the other night, he goes, I believe most white people and black people are good people. It's the politicians who are dividing us. They want whites to hate blacks and blacks to hate whites and rich to hate poor and the poor to hate the rich so they can maintain power. If you've watched this show over the last 4 weeks, I've said it almost every single week, the same thing. You can Google other states' laws. I have a comparison right here on my phone. The other states have very, very similar laws. But now because we're in this age of just everything has to be racist. I mean, all you're doing in Atlanta is you've pressured Major League Baseball. By the way, this stuff. Now I think they did limit. Like I had one. There's no more mail-in ballots. Wrong, completely wrong. They shrunk down the time that you can send in an absentee ballot to from 100 and some days to 76. You have a window of 70 some days. If you can't mail in your absentee ballot in 70 some days, you shouldn't be voting.
All right, next topic.
Hold on, and then people get mad about voter ID.
Voter ID? Don't get me started on voter ID, Nicholas.
You think there should be voter ID? You think you should need an ID to go vote?
I don't understand why there is not a voter ID requirement to vote. I wish someone could explain to me why you don't need to have an ID to do something so important as voting. You need an ID to buy cigarettes. You need an ID to buy alcohol. You need an ID to drive. Obviously, we can list ad nauseum all of the different reasons and for things we need an ID. But yet for voting, if you want to require an ID, a photo ID, people have a knee-jerk reaction. It's my opinion. They have a knee-jerk reaction that you're trying to restrict voting rights. It may very well be true, though, Nicholas, that you are restricting voter rights to poor, indigent individuals of a certain socioeconomic class who can't otherwise get access to photo ID, an official photo ID, for whatever reason. I'm sure if they looked at the demographics and the socioeconomic background of those who are affected by a voter ID requirement, they are going to be of a certain right or left, usually left, right? Usually, not right, usually of the left. So if you're on the left, if you're Democrat, liberal, and you find there's any way that this is going to affect numbers, you're going to be against it. I still think it's important, and I don't see a reason why you don't have voter ID.
So I read this too, that they require you to have a driver's license or a non-driver's ID or some sort of photo identification.
To do what?
To vote. That's a new bill. Now, if you don't have a driver's license or a non-voter ID,
get something else.
The state will issue you for free, as long as you can prove that you're legally able to vote in the state of Georgia, they will issue you a free picture ID.
I don't see the burden, but I do see why they're doing it. And I do believe they're doing it as a strategy to affect voters.
Now, I've had people tell me that it's racist. That they just keep telling me that it is racist. But when I ask for a specific reason why it's racist,
I just told you one.
No, I'm saying on social media, people just start name calling and they That's it. They go away. Like I
think
literally
it is
asking.
I think it is
how
racist.
it's racist.
I think it's racist. I think it's definitely racist that they're doing it. They believe that they can exclude a certain group of voters by requiring the voter ID card that those voters might have difficulty in getting. I also don't know. Again, that's just my opinion. I also do we even know?
But you just said that you should have an ID to vote.
I do. I agree. I think you should have to have an ID to vote.
Okay.
But I can understand why people perceive it as racist, because by having these laws in place, I'll say it again, you are probably affecting a certain socioeconomic demographic, which is more likely than not going to be liberal Democratic. And therefore, if you're a liberal or Democrat, you're going to fight like hell against it because you feel that the laws is being put in place to affect voting.
But okay, there's 5 or 6 other states that require the same thing, and there's other states that have more restrictive voting laws than Georgia.
I think the analogy is the gerrymandering. It's the same thing. If they can affect the amount of voters in a particular area, they're going to try and do that. By the way, that's just the way of the world. That's life. I am a proponent of voter ID. So I'm just giving you the reason why people would be against it. I'm a big proponent of ID. Listen, you got to have an ID to buy a gun in this country, right?
Yeah, I mean,
so you got to have, but that's the way it is. So you want to exercise certain rights in this country, you need to have ID. Just go get an ID. It's like I can make the same argument about wear a mask, for goodness sake. Is it that big a deal? Wear a mask. You want to have voter ID?
You know what I want?
Wear a mask to help other people not die.
You know what I would like to know?
It's not burdensome.
What I would like to know, and this would actually maybe change my mind a little bit on the voter ID, because I don't see where it's Jim Crow. I don't see why that word is thrown around. I mean, everything is just, it just goes above and over the top. Now, if you're trying to restrict, I'm curious to know how many citizens in Georgia don't have a photo ID. That's what I need to know. That's what I need to know. But when you start to do a lot of this cancel culture, and you move the All-Star game out of Atlanta, the only people you're hurting are the people that you claim you're trying to protect. Like, don't you think that? Like Major League Baseball pulling out of Atlanta, the All-Star game? Doesn't that hurt area businesses that, by the way, probably the highest concentration in the country of minority-owned businesses? A lot of those hotels are all franchises. I'm sure many of them, because Atlanta's been referred to, as I heard somebody say, the Black Wall Street. I mean, you're hurting minority businesses in that area that I think we're looking at this as an opportunity to maybe save their business after a pandemic. And you're just pulling the rug, and they probably have made plans, and extra security would need to be hired, and extra employees for that week would need to be hired. Hotels would need to beef up, certain, to get more employees, and there would have been a lot of things that would have happened in that area to give a little bit of a boost to the economy, which, by the way, is very largely a minority community. So who are you hurting? You're not hurting the Braves, because guess what Major League Baseball is going to do? They're going to compensate the Braves organization. So you can applaud Major League Baseball for pulling out, but but I think you're just hurting a huge swath of the minority community in Atlanta. Am I wrong there?
I think you have a good point. I can understand the political message that businesses want to convey to the government in Georgia, which is not something they needed to convey to the people who own businesses and the community in Georgia. In other words, why are they punishing the community of Georgia for something that the elected officials have done? Instead, why don't they lobby, right? Mm-hmm. Lobby so that those officials aren't reelected next time. Instead, they just came right out and canceled Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, you canceled a hugely minority populated state.
Yeah, I thought I can understand, and I stand by the mission statement of MLB, all right, for equality. And I think they could have had a marketing drive to get that mission out, to get that statement out that they're against what those elected officials had done, what the governor was doing in passing that bill. But instead, they're just punishing the community.
But they're not. No, but they're not. They're not hurting. They're not hurting the elected officials. They're hurting the people of Georgia.
I agree. I think it's misguided.
Did they ask the people of Atlanta? Did they ask business owners of Atlanta if they wanted the All-Star game to pull out? If you cared so much, ask them. You want to know why? Because you don't give a shit about them. It's proven time and time and time again. And these people, I'm going to ban I'm never watching Major League Baseball again. You are going to watch. I don't understand, like with the kneeling for the national anthem. Look, that wouldn't be my way of protesting, but I'm not going to deprive myself of NFL football because I love it so much. By the way, I've never tuned in to watch a national anthem other than the Super Bowl ever, right? I'm not going to stop watching Major League Baseball because a few people decided to pull the All-Star game out of Atlanta. Because now I'm no better, right? Because there's a lot of people that work within Major League Baseball and teams and stadiums that they don't want to hear any of this shit. They don't care about the politics. They just want to earn a living and pay their bills and feed their kids. So then that would make me no better than a boycott. I don't understand why we're fighting boycotts and cancel culture with boycotts and canceling. And then people, that's it. No more Coca-Cola for me. Well, if you're still if not drinking poison, if it took Major League Baseball for you to stop drinking soda, I don't know what to tell you. Like, yeah, I'm not drinking Coca-Cola anymore.
All right,
big deal.
Okay.
Yes, you are. You're addicted. You can't stop smoking and doing all the other shit that's actually killing you. You're taking a stand against Major League Baseball.
How about take a stand against? I got 2 words for you, Nicholas. Matthew Gaetz. What do you think? Allegations against Congressman Matthew Gaetz this week.
If Matthew Gaetz is guilty, you got to get him out. You got to get him out. If you're guilty of rape and sex trafficking,
yeah, that's pretty bad.
You probably got to go.
Do you think this was just the politician's way of trying to take some attention off of Cuomo?
By the way, I think if you here's what's hysterical, because now it's going the other way, right? Like, no Republicans are outraged by Matt Gaetz. A lot of them don't believe it's true because he's Republican, and it's like, at what point do we just wake up? At what point are we just going to hold other people up to the same standards that we
hear
hold?
The whole truth. Everyone wants to hear all the facts when it's their guy.
Yeah, I get fired up. I'm yelling too much. I'm gonna calm it down a little bit. By the way, Yankees are winning 1-0 on an Aaron Judge home run.
Awesome.
4th inning.
Cool.
Mets are playing. I don't give a shit.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
By the way, Matt Gaetz just looks evil.
Yeah. Matt Gaetz does look evil.
All right, I'm going to tone it down a bit.
He was asking for it.
I'm going to tone it down, speak quietly.
Got anything else on your agenda tonight? I would like to have someone call in.
I mean, is it really? I mean, let's be honest. What? Is that Georgia voting law Jim Crow? So I will give you that taking the voter ID will suppress a certain portion of the population, right?
And what does it serve?
It serves to help the Republicans.
I meant, what's the
right?
What is the altruistic or idealistic claim that it's going to help by having a voter ID?
It's supposed to help fraud.
So then the next question would be, is there so much fraud that this is necessary? In other words, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, it depends on what year it is and who you ask. If you ask the Republicans right now, yes. If you ask the Democrats 4 years ago, yes. Because everybody's outraged and yelling that, oh, it's the Republicans and they're just trying to influence elections and you're just crybabies. And I'm like, well, 4 years ago when Hillary Clinton lost, I mean, people were literally crying. And you had no problem with saying that it was stolen, the election was rigged, Russia stole votes. You had all this other stuff. You had investigations. You had impeachment hearings. You had all this kind of stuff. You had people saying the election was a fraud, not my president, all these other things. You had the Democrats then want to make Washington, D.C., a state, and Puerto Rico, a state, and lower the voting age to 16. Who does that help? That's going to be mostly all Democrat votes. So they do the same thing. They do this. People, is there camera on me?
Yeah.
They do the same thing. They all do the same shit. Stop yelling at each other and calling everybody racist and everything. They do the same stuff.
On both sides of the
On both sides of the aisle. Open your eyes and then really try to root out the real racism that's causes a real problem in this country. Because it's there. We just don't even see it because we're too busy worried about all this other stuff that, right? That's just my opinion. Have I been canceled yet?
No.
He probably wouldn't have changed it if 2 Republican senators had won the recount in January.
What are you talking about?
So Mike Sass said, would the governor of Georgia had changed the election law if 2 Republican senators had won the recount?
No.
Probably not. But then again, the Democrats are trying to overturn a Republican congressman that was elected and certified.
Yes. What's the story behind that? That's crazy.
So they certified a Republican winner. Now Congress wants to stop it somehow after it's certified by the board of electors in that state. And now they want to go back and take her out and somehow
recount
and have the find because they think the Democrat won. No, but you sit there and you yell about the Republicans now. 4 years ago, the Democrats were doing it. The Democrats do the same shit, and everybody just sits here and yells at each other. And all these assholes up in Washington who are all friends and go to dinner together after their meetings are sitting here laughing at us. Completely laughing at us.
This is sad. This is so sad. That
It's unreal, right?
There's so much turmoil.
There's just people just yelling and name calling each other on social media when you just ask a question or you have a different point of view or perspective, or maybe you could be convinced by listening to the other side. But nobody wants to have that dialogue. We just want to yell, scream, name call, and cancel. There's no dialogue. It's just like we talked about the show, The Talk, The View, or whatever, with Sharon Osbourne. They actually had dialogue on stage, and they canceled the show for a certain period of time, and she had to leave. What are we doing? What are we doing, people?
Man, I wish you had like a breath of fresh air to talk about something that's not so sad. What's going on? Hey,
and now we want to.
Kingston varsity football team won their game this Friday night.
Yes, I saw that.
Was it Friday night or Saturday? Saturday night.
I think it was Saturday.
Saturday night game. Good for Kingston football.
I got notes here. I never really look at them. I'm so brilliant. And I just yell and scream at everybody. As I sit here and scream into the camera about people screaming at each other. Yeah, Yankees up 1-0. Dybert must have joined late. I don't know. And now you have baseball, and I mean, we've gone 3 games and people are losing their minds on social media about the Yankees and Stanton sucks. People were booing Giancarlo Stanton in his first at bat of the season. This is why I hate New. I got to tell you right now, I'm actually really starting to despise Yankee fans. Because there's reasons why players have no trade clauses, or they'll accept any. Some players will accept any trade except to the Yankees, because the fans think they're cool, or they're the smartest fans, or they're tough on their players because they love them so much. You treat your own as if they're the opposition. So you have a guy in Stanton who, for the team to be successful, he has to succeed. First at bat of the season, you boo the shit out of him, and you boo him all game. That's what you do to the other team. You boo the other team because you don't want them to play well. You don't do it to a guy in the first game of the season, especially after the postseason he had for you last year. Let's be honest. They did the same shit with A-Rod. Right? They booed A-Rod. He's probably the reason they were even in the 2009 World Series, because he put the team on his back in July and took them through the playoffs. Forget that, though, probably, right?
What's up with Yankees about to sign Mike Montgomery?
I don't know.
You don't know if it's free agent left-hander?
I don't know. I mean, it makes me nervous. It makes me nervous because it makes me feel like they have they don't have faith in somebody in that rotation, maybe like a Herman, or they think Britton is going to be out longer than normal, or Severino is going to be out longer. So anytime
Herman didn't have a very good weekend, did he?
no, he didn't have
And that's
that good
why
of a
they needed
game.
Montgomery.
But I mean, he hasn't pitched since 2019.
I know there were some people that were not happy with Herman.
Well, I know some people that were not happy with Herman.
Meanwhile, baseball's boring. Isaac Jones agrees with me.
Ike Jones also thinks that Drew Brees is the greatest quarterback ever. So, where does he rank all time? Is he in the top 10?
We're not going to do this now.
Is he even in the top 10?
We're not going to go right. I thought you wanted to talk baseball now.
I don't know. Sanchez had a good. I mean, people are just one guy. I boo Stanton, and I also Jay Bruce is not get Jay Bruce off this roster, and Jay Bruce is only there because Luke Voit got hurt. Right, like you're booing Stanton. You need the guy. Did you boo Aaron Hicks for going 0 for 4? Did you boo anybody else in the top of the lineup? Did you boo Aaron Judge? You're just booing Stanton because you think it's cool. Yeah, I booed Stanton. No, you're a moron. You're an idiot.
The Yanks won yesterday, right?
No, they lost yesterday. They're 1-2. It's 3 games into this. People are losing their
Why are
minds
they
3
so
games into the
bad?
season.
Man, the Yankees have to do better.
They're 1-2. There's
gonna-
158 games left to
They're
play.
not going to do well. They
What-
need to win these games against teams like the Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays are good. The thing is that the Blue Jays are good. They're a better team than they were last year. The Blue Jays are a good team.
Weren't they winning the game? Were the Yankees ever winning against Toronto?
No, I don't recall. I don't think so.
Man, they better start playing better. Season's almost over.
Yeah.
My point is people need to relax. There's so much baseball left.
Yes.
Just started. How about enjoy it? How about just enjoy
Just
the
be
game?
happy it's here.
Right, just enjoy the game.
Look, and I didn't expect Domingo Germán, after coming off a suspension for punching his wife, to come out and pitch well.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why he was suspended. He
So you can punch your wife and still play ball?
He came out of an event, a CC Sabathia, I believe, fundraising event, and in front of like Yankee executives were at this thing, and I guess apparently he hit his wife.
Wow. What did she do to deserve that? That's terrible.
Yeah. So, you had some you had some fans outraged by Hicks 1 for 13. We're not booing Aaron Hicks though. We'll boo Stanton because that's smart. That shows class. That shows how you know the game, right? Morons.
Hey, do you plan on going to any games?
I hate New York Yankee fans.
Do you plan on going to any games this spring?
I mean, I got to look at the tickets. Somebody said that they were really cheap. But then I read that they were really expensive. I don't know. I would go. Got to get my COVID shot, though.
Are you getting your COVID shot?
I will eventually.
I've got mine.
Yes, we do have to bring up Drew Brees every time. Anytime I see Ike Jones, I just think Drew Brees. Saints fan. I think Bobby Hebert and Jim Mora. the fans with the bags over their heads. I don't know. Everybody just overreacts, right? Sanchez has a good start, but he blocked 2 balls in the dirt, right? So it was 2 fastballs over the middle of the plate right in front of him, and they were in the dirt, and he blocked them. And, man, Twitter people were, oh, I guess the haters aren't going to talk about those 2 pitches he blocked. I go, my 12-year-old daughter blocks those pitches. He's supposed to block those. That's the catcher's job, is to block those pitches. Can you bring up my Facebook page?
I can.
The New York Knicks, bring it up.
Sure.
Not on this, on here, on the big screen.
Got it, Nicholas. Your face.
I mean, it sometimes it gets so bad. And look, nobody wants Gary Sanchez to succeed more than I do. But damn, when we got to keep pointing out the basic things that you're supposed to do as being great, that we have to call it out.
What did you want to see?
Has anybody ever been on SportsCenter for blocking 2 pitches in the dirt that are right in front of you over the middle of the plate? No, never seen it. Now he did throw a runner out and stuff like that.
All right, so what are we doing?
Go to the New York Knicks. Go get to the New York Knicks
The
page.
New York Knicks page. Damn it.
I've diagnosed Gary Sanchez's catching problems.
You did?
I did.
Right here?
No, I don't know what the hell that is.
It's on your feed.
I don't know how it's on my feed.
Oh, the catcher who was
Yeah.
he's touching the ground in between every pitch. That was crazy.
Now, this is why he can't catch strikes. Watch. Oh, no, I'll tell you when to stop. All right. So he taps his glove on the ground. Now, I understand this is a low pitch, right? He wants it low. But then before the pitch comes, go back. He drops the glove to the ground. Right? So why? First of all, that's awful. Because if that pitch misses, and it does, if that pitch is a little bit higher, it probably goes right by him.
Yeah, why?
He
does
cannot
have his
react.
glove on
He
the
cannot.
ground?
And by the way, since he's on one knee also, and there's probably nobody on, I don't remember the situation here. I don't know if there was guys on base. He really limits his mobility behind the plate. And this here, this is a big problem. When you drop your glove down like that, this is why he misses balls up here. This is why pitches that are not in the dirt go by him. He does it again. Every time he gives a target and then he drops it down. So when the pitcher goes into his wind up and looks, I don't even think there's a target for the pitcher to look at.
Which is catching 101.
Right?
Give the guy a target. Even I know that. Why don't you send an email to the coach, Nick?
Right? So now, look, bang, glove down, ball. Now, by the way, he can't. If that ball goes by, rewind. If that pitch, if he doesn't foul that pitch off, he tries to catch it like this. Now, I'm gonna explain here in a second while you rewind. You cannot swipe. I'm gonna move the mic. You cannot swipe your hand to catch an inside pitch like this, because if you do, here's what happens. Look, ready? You swipe it that way. You simply do this. And this is one of his big problems. You just turn your glove like this. Look, Kenny, ready?
I'm watching.
Bang. You don't do this. You don't do this.
He's
you just go
swiping
like
at it.
you just go like this. That ball a lot of times is going to get away from him. And it has in the past. You can't swipe like this. You can't swipe like that.
Can you swipe like that? All righty.
Now go what's that? Scarlett Johansson?
No, it's over.
Oh. Go back. Go back. No, I'm just
Go
kidding.
there again. All right.
But I mean, that's bad. You can't have the glove down and then try to react up in the zone. Guys don't always hit the target, man. Right? Especially if there isn't one to look at. You don't even give them one.
That's what she said.
I don't know.
Wow, you were full of fire today.
That's right, Nadine. You frame, you don't swipe. She knows. Is your son sitting next to you telling you that? You probably taught him that when he was like 8. Oh, man, it just drives me nuts. It drives me nuts when I got to watch that guy catch. Because I see it, and I'm like, how does this not get fixed? I don't know. I just been yelling the entire time.
No, you haven't. We got through a lot of.
Did you see my video? Huh?
Think about all the things that we talked about this evening. Talked about a lot of stuff.
And Nadine's right. You frame, you don't. You can't frame that pitch. How do you frame a pitch doing this? You can't. Now that pitch is a little hard to frame because that's way inside, but you can at least. I don't even know. I don't know if my daughter or the catcher on our softball team was catching like that, I would fix it, and I wouldn't wait 3 years. We got a tournament this Saturday down near Philly. See, I watch everything, people. When I watch a game, I see everything. Right? As soon as I wish my wife and kids or somebody was here, because when we were watching that the Final Four game, I immediately yelled, "Stop the ball. Why is nobody stopping the ball? Why is he getting a wide open shot uncontested?" I saw it live. I see that with Gary Sanchez. I mean, I watch a lot. I watch a lot of the other things that goes on. I don't know. I'm like a nerd like that.
I thought that was really interesting. I would never even noticed.
Like, I don't know if I said this last time.
When you explained it, it made a lot of sense.
I take my kids up. We used to go up into the upper deck. Abby loves to go up to the upper deck, and then we watch. Like in Baltimore, we went up to the upper deck. Right, our seats were down third baseline, but we went up to the upper deck, and I say, watch everything happen. For a half inning, don't watch the ball. Watch what everybody else does.
Right.
Let's see. Did we cover everything here? 38 drop boxes to 8. Biden lies. Final 4. Going through my list
that's funny.
here. We're going to start giving shit out coming up here soon. Maybe in the next show if people share and do some things and try to grow the audience.
Yeah, no one wants to call.
Final finish. Baylor. Opening day. Sanchez sucks. Darnold traded. The NFL added a game. We didn't really talk about that. I don't like it. If you signed your contract after February 2020, you're not getting paid for the extra game. How crazy is that? You know what also sucks?
What also sucks?
Because they're going to split the revenue, and since there's a game, and they split NFL revenues like 48% or something like that, NFL with the teams. So guys will get more money depending on how your contract is. But you add the extra game. Players don't want that. Players don't want extra games. They get beat up, man. They don't want to set. Yeah, you took away a preseason game or two. Those guys don't really play in those games anyway. You want to see injuries skyrocket in the NFL? You're going to have some. I think eventually they'll go back to 16. But the NFL doesn't care about the players. They went from 14 to 16, and that was tough on players. Now 16 to 17, that one game is going to be brutal. I'm telling you. It's going to be brutal. And the 17th game, now you have odd some teams are going to play more home games than others. Imagine that in a playoff race. You're fighting for a wild card and you have one more home team than another team. What do people think about that?
What do you think about?
I mean, 162 games is 81 home games, 81 away games, right? Every other sport has an even number of home and away games. So you're going to tell me now you're going to come down to week 17, or week 18, game 17. And the Giants are playing the Cowboys. And the Giants have that one extra home game. Or the Giants are playing to take out, they got that one extra home game. And the Cowboys got to go on the road to San Francisco. You know, it's not that far for them in Dallas. But I mean, it's not a home game, right? That'll be a problem. People will be complaining about that.
Can't please everybody all the time.
It's all a money grab, and the NFL's got all the power. I got Baylor tonight. Baylor tonight winning it all. A number one's going to upset the number one. That's what I got to recap Baylor. Kenny, what else you got to talk about? You got anything you want to talk about? Hey, what is what? Anything in your world in the news?
Yeah, I'm looking at this video here, and we can leave everybody with this thought. I'd like to hear what people think about this.
Now, is this going to be on the screen?
Yeah, people can see this happen.
All right.
And we need to stop this from happening ever again. That just can't happen.
Okay, I'm confused at what just happened here.
Just a tease. We'll talk about it next week.
She just disappeared.
She did. She did. And anybody who saw that might wonder what they just saw, and they're going to have to wait.
I'm watching it again on this delay. It just disappears.
I'm just trying to see if anybody's watching. They actually see what we put on. Maybe they'll comment and go, "What was that?"
That lady, guarantee you drives a Subaru.
All right, Nick. I'm going to get some dinner.
Somebody comment. I saw your video of the Subaru in Uptown today. That's crazy. Yeah. Did you see that video? Wrong way, one-way street, consistently.
All right, man.
I don't even know anymore.
See you next week.
Listen, if you want to message me, we can talk about the Georgia voting bill. Feel free.
8:03.
All right, Kenny.
I got things to do.
Jeez.
Peace.
I mean, I'm telling you. Forget going. You go 4 minutes over. What is there, a show after us?
Got
we
phone
cutting
calls
into
to make.
What do you call phone calls you got to make? You got to run. Start handing out